We are awaiting verdicts in 3 high-profile cases around the country. Juries are deliberating in the trial of Kim Potter, the former police officer charged with manslaughter in the shooting death of Daunte Wright during a traffic stop, the criminal fraud trial of the Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes, and the sex trafficking trial of Jeffrey Epstein's alleged associate Ghislaine Maxwell. All 3 juries could reach a verdict as soon as today, and we'll bring you those decisions when they happen. So let's bring in law and crime host and legal analyst Terri Austin for more. Terri, let's start with the Kim Potter trial first out in Minnesota, where the jury asked the judge for guidance on what happens if they can't agree on a verdict. Judge Regina Chu told them to go back, keep deliberating, didn't give them an answer on how long they should continue. Of course, it's not her decision. What do you read into this, and is there another step the judge can take to encourage them, or are we looking at a potential mistrial here?
Well, I think Judge Chu did what most judges do, which is try to get them to deliberate and come to a conclusion. She literally reread the instruction, which tells the jury to go back to listen to what their own minds have to say, but to also listen to what the other jurors have to say. It's really, Terry, a bad indication as far as the prosecution is concerned, because the last thing they want is a mistrial because the jury is deadlocked. I think it's a good sign for the defense, because it sounds like there is just one holdout, or there could be several holdouts, but at least one, and that would mean that there is a hung jury. So we'll see what happens. They also wanted Terry to see the gun so that they could hold it, and the judge did allow that. So they're still trying to convince at least one juror that there is criminal responsibility here for this mistake that occurred on that day.
And if I could pick up on the question of the jury wanted to be able to hold the gun that was used by Kim Potter in the shooting. She thought she had her taser. They have access to that as well. There it is. We're showing the picture. That great, big, bright yellow thing, that's the taser. The smaller and heavier service weapon on the right. How do you think that could impact deliberations? The jury will get to feel what she had in her hand for, several seconds before shooting Daunte Wright.
Well, that jury is trying to determine, is there a big difference between these 2 weapons? Should she have known better, or was this just a tragic accident, which is what Earl Gray, the defense attorney, is trying to argue? They want to hold the gun, they want to hold the taser to see if she should have known better after 26 years. One is much lighter, one is a different color, one is on the other side, and so they're trying to see whether or not she should have known better, or, was this criminal liability here? The 2 counts, man 1 and man 2, basically, was she reckless with the use of that gun for manslaughter 1, or was she criminally responsible and negligent for manslaughter 2? They really want to hold it in their hands for themselves to determine, hey, should she have known the difference? I can tell the difference. After 26 years and all of this training, we think she should have known the difference. That's what I think they're trying to answer back there.
So that could be a critical discussion in the deliberation. So let's turn to Elizabeth Holmes. She's on trial for criminal fraud. She's the founder of Theranos, which was a blood testing company. It could come down to whether juries believe that Elizabeth Holmes intended to defraud her investors, that blood testing technology never really worked, and she kept selling it. She says she didn't intend to. She believed in it as well. Do you think they've done enough to show that she did intend it?
This is a difficult case. That jury, we have 7 men and 5 women. That jury is really trying to determine, was Elizabeth Holmes in a startup, her own startup, was she trying to help people with getting this new blood testing and her Edison machine, or was she defrauding? And it's difficult because you have a lot of people out in California with startups, and you have a lot of investors knowing they may very well lose their money. What the jury really has to decide here is, was she intentionally trying to defraud? I think it's a hard case for the prosecution. I think they did a good job presenting witnesses to testify. But, Terry, this one I am right down the middle on this one, and I think the jury probably is too. They started deliberating on Monday, and we'll see what happens. But basically, I think it's going to be difficult. And I think they might try to give her a break because, you know, many men start companies and they aren't attacked. And she got on that stand, and I think she probably really was very convincing. I think that was a good move on the part of the defense.
Yeah, of course, if she's a con artist, then she would have been convincing. But let's turn in New York. Jurors deliberating the fate of Ghislaine Maxwell. And they asked the judge about the accuser's testimony, the accusers, the alleged victims of the sex trafficking that Jeffrey Epstein engaged in and that allegedly Ghislaine Maxwell helped him with. How could it be applied to the charge? How significant is it that they want to hear that testimony?
I think they're trying to determine whether these victims, whether these witnesses are credible. They want to hear what they had to say again. Is there a real pattern here as among the victims? And so I think when they are calling back for that testimony, they're considering the issues in this case very seriously. They're not just saying, look, all 4 witnesses, yes, all 4 witnesses, no. We could come back with a split verdict, and we have seen that in other cases. We saw that in the Harvey Weinstein case where some of the witnesses were believed and some of them were not. We could have that here where there are witnesses who seemed more credible than the others. And so I think the jury really wants to hear what those 4 individuals had to say. That was the prosecution's main case, putting those witnesses on the stand so they could tell their story to that jury.
3 big cases, great analysis there for us. Terri Austin, thanks as always.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.